Welcome. I'm Jacky, coach and EFT practitioner, and today we are going to talk about the setup statement. There's a couple of different components to the setup statement, and a lot of times people don't know what to say. So they get frustrated and they don't tap because they don't know what to say. And that makes perfect sense that they don't know what to say with a setup statement when they're feeling overwhelmed or frustrated or having a hard time, because in that moment they're in fight, flight, freeze mode, and it's hard to come up with a setup statement. And so I want to first explain the setup statement to you so you can understand it. And then I'm going to give you some examples of the setup statement. And then I'm going to just talk about, is it okay to use it or not use the setup statement, okay? First of all, the setup statement has two components to it, okay? It has the problem that you're dealing with, and then the acceptance part of the statement. So it's despite your having this problem, you're still accepting yourself. And when you repeat this setup statement, when you're saying it, you repeat it 3 times. And you do that while you're continuously tapping on the side of your hand. Now, the side of your hand is the side that where the pinky is, and it's in that fleshy part. You're just going to tap there continuously while you say the setup statement, and you repeat it 3 times. Now, I mentioned the setup statement has 2 components. So we have the positive and the negative. And the negative comes first. The negative is the problem, the situation, whatever you're going through, and we're putting that first. So I have some examples for you. So even though I'm angry with Bob because I'm embarrassed, he embarrassed me in front of my coworkers. Even though I feel like I'm never good enough. Even though I'm frustrated with Lisa because she's always late to our get-togethers. Even though I'm afraid to take the next step. Even though I'm completely overwhelmed with my to-do list. Even though I'm worried about being able to pay the bills. Even though I'm so tired of listening to all of Barb's problems and her dramas. Even though I can't get to sleep again. Even though I'm so fat and uncomfortable. Even though I have so much anxiety around food and don't even know what to eat. Even though my shoulder hurts so bad. Those are all examples of different things that we can tap on. They're all examples of the first part of the setup statement. They're all problems. They're all the situation, and they're all seemingly negative. Negative, we don't want to address the negative because we want to be positive, but it is super important when we're tapping to address the negative. So we're going to start the setup statement with the negative, with the problem. Then there's like a comma, and the second part of the statement is an acceptance part. So it could be the main one that Gary Craig taught many years ago is I deeply and completely accept myself. So I deeply and completely accept myself. Now there's many different versions of that. A lot of people add in, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And when you add in that word love, It adds a whole new component in there that people have a hard time with, because not everybody loves themselves. I got something in my mouth, sorry. Not everybody is feeling like they love themselves. And so if you're not feeling like you love yourself, then leave the word love out, because if you add it in and you're not feeling like you love yourself, then you're having a hard time addressing the original problem that you came to deal with. And loving yourself, of course, is important, but if you want to deal with the problem that is at hand, then just leave the word love out. And then later, at another time, there's different ways to address loving yourself. But here's some other statements that you can use that are similar. It doesn't have to be I deeply and completely accept myself, okay? It can also be I want to accept myself. Because maybe in that moment, you're so upset, you're not even accepting yourself. So what if you just said, I want to accept myself? Or what if you said, I'm open to accepting myself? Or I'm choosing to accept myself? Or I acknowledge how I feel. What if you're just acknowledging how you feel? So even though I am so angry with Bob because he embarrassed me in front of my coworkers, I'm acknowledging how I feel. That's how that statement would go. Because if you can't say I accept myself, or you can't say I love and accept myself, that's okay. Part of accepting yourself is accepting yourself for where you're at. So if you're not in a place where you can accept yourself, find the next best thing. And the next best thing might even simply be, I'm okay right now. So it could be, I feel like I'm never good enough, comma, and I deeply and completely accept myself. I'm afraid to take the next step, comma, and I'm okay right now. Or I'm afraid to take the next step, comma, and I acknowledge my fear. You see how we're kind of balancing it out. You have the problem, and then you have the acceptance on whatever level of acceptance that you can handle, wherever you are. So you would repeat this 3 times while you're tapping here on the side of your hand. So an example, we'll just do an example here. Even though I'm afraid to take the next step, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I'm afraid to take the next step, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I'm afraid to take the next step, I deeply and completely accept myself. Now, your brain might start to open up a little bit because you're already in the act of tapping. And so if other words pop in while you're doing the setup phrase, it doesn't have to be the exact setup phrase 3 times. You can switch it up. So if you start off and say, even though I'm afraid to take the next step, I deeply and completely accept myself. And then you go to say the second round, even though I'm afraid to take the next step, I really want to, but I'm just so afraid. I'm afraid I'm going to screw up. I deeply and completely accept myself. So just see how other words popped in. You can add other words. It doesn't have to be the same exact wording 3 times in a row. They could be 3 different setup statements, all focus on the same topic. It's totally okay. There's so much room for error in tapping. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect to get the effect. The most important things when we're tapping are the emotion or the sensations that you're feeling inside of your body. So whatever the sensations and feelings are, and the emotion that you have going on. It's more important to tune into those than anything else. So just really remember that. If for those of you that have tapped with me or have watched my different tapping videos, you rarely ever see me using this. And the reason why is because I really just want to get you tapping. When we're in a place where we're feeling so frustrated, so overwhelmed, so angry, so sad, we can't stop and think about the setup statement, because we're like, well, what do I say? There's two parts to it, and I don't know what to do. And then you get frustrated and you walk away and you don't tap, when tapping can really help you in that moment. So even though I've just shared how to use the setup statement, there are times it's totally okay to not use it. Just set it aside and start tapping. And you can tap here on the side of your hand, or you can start on the top of your head. I start up here just so you know the sequence and go through the points, and kind of it helps you stay from being confused. So you just want to start tapping when you're in that state of overwhelm, frustration, sadness. Like if you're crying, don't even worry about the setup statement, just get tapping. So that is, in a nutshell, information about the setup statement, how to use it, the components for it. I'm open to taking any questions that you have. So if you want to put any questions in the comments below, I am happy to answer those for you. If this really helps and you're feeling like, yeah, I get it now, just let me know. Shoot me a heart or a thumbs up or whatever. And feel free. We have some more time here. I'm happy to answer anything about what I've said or any other lingering questions that you have. So I will look for your comments here. But to talk a little bit more about tapping and the setup statement as setup, it's supposed to go first before we start the rounds of tapping. And when do you use it? In the beginning, but you would also use it several times while you're tapping as your emotions and feelings change. So you might have started off really angry, and your setup statement is, even though I'm really angry with Lisa for calling me a bitch, okay? Now you've tapped, and you've cleared that out, and now you're really hurt. So it's totally different. You've cleared out the anger, and now you're feeling hurt and maybe even a little sad. You can use a setup statement again. So even though I'm really sad and hurt that Lisa called me a bitch, I deeply and completely accept myself. So you can intersperse the setup statement multiple times during a tapping sequence on a specific topic. So let's just say you're taking a half hour to tap. You could use the setup statement 5, 6, 7 times in there. It could even be more, or it can be less than that. There's no set rule that you have to use the setup statement. There's no set rule how many times you have to use it. So let all that go. Let all the how-tos and the perfection, let all of that go, because that is not important. What's important is for you to get tapping, for you to feel the sensations in your body, and to, if you're able to, acknowledge whatever the feeling, the emotion is that you have going on, the happy, the sad, the anger, the frustration. So if you can identify that emotion, awesome. But more importantly is the sensation, the feeling in your body. So when we tap together in some of our workshops, you'll hear me say, now really lean in and feel that. And so you're tapping while you're feeling that sensation in your body. That sensation is a message to you. It's communicating to you, letting you know something's off, something's going on. Maybe a boundary has been broken, or you're not feeling right about this person, or something from your past is coming up and triggering you, and you might even be projecting onto somebody else. But those sensations inside of you, it's information for you to help you know something is off. And when you take the time to acknowledge it and to feel it, feeling it is part of acknowledging it. When you take the time to do that while you're tapping, that helps release it. And often you'll receive clarity then. You'll receive the clarity or information because you'll move from being frustrated, maybe through a couple of different other emotions, and then you'll find some clarity because you'll have moved up into the executive part of your brain. The executive part of your brain is the part of your brain that is where you think, where you have new thoughts pop in. You're able to be more creative. You're able to be more open. So when you're in the fight, flight, freeze mode, you can't be in the executive part of your brain at the same time. It does not work that way. So when we tap, we are getting you out of that reptilian part of your brain, the fight, flight, freeze part, and we're moving you up here. So if you've ever tried to tap and you tried to do that setup statement and you're just like, I can't figure it out, it's okay. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with you. It's because if you're in that place of frustration, annoyance, or whatever, it is really hard to come up with the setup statement. So feel free to bypass it. Just pass right over it. Because in the act of tapping, you will get to that better feeling place because tapping helps you move into the place of acceptance. That's what tapping does. It helps peel the layers of the things that were our lies or the exaggerations or the things that we're making up. It peels those away and comes to the truth. And the truth is a place where we do accept ourselves. The truth is I am enough. The truth is I am lovable. Those are the core truths. And so as we tap and clear stuff out, we get to that place. So you guys, I don't see any questions here about the setup statement. If you have any other questions about tapping, just the components to it, feel free to put them in the comments. I'm happy to answer them for you. And if not, then I think that we have this well covered as to how to work the setup statement and what the components are to it. So just hang out another moment and see if any of you have any questions or comments, and then I am going to say goodbye for the day. So it's nice to see all of you here. There's several of you that have popped in today, so it's good to see you guys. All right. With that, I don't see any questions, but if you're watching the replay, feel free to ask any questions and tag me on it, and I'll come back and answer them. I thank you guys for being here today and learning more about the setup statement. So Heather is asking, why tap pinky versus typical during setup statements? So I'm not sure totally what you mean by tapping pinky. We're tapping on the side of the hand. And I was giving you the reference of the side. It's not the pointer finger or thumb side, it's the pinky side. So right here on the fleshy part is the side of the hand that you want to tap on. And is there a good reason why exactly we're tapping here? There's different meridian endpoints, and it's a place where you stop and think for a moment about what you're tapping on. So you just, the side of the hand goes with the setup statement. Is it more effective? I mean, what if you started using the setup statement on these other points? It totally works. So you don't have to go here for the setup statement. You could say the setup statement while you're tapping on the other points. Either way it works. This is just what we're taught in certification. This is what Gary Craig, the founder, focuses on. This is what you'll see a lot of trainers teaching. If you watch other tapping videos with other practitioners, they're going to tap here. But do know that you can tap here and say the setup statement. That works just as effectively. So great question. So Heather, you can, I see your note, so don't start head first. You can start head first, but you can start here or here. But to help yourself with confusion, if you're going to use the setup statement, just do it on the side of the hand. It just will help. This is a very valid tapping point. Like I said, there are meridian endpoints here. So it's helpful to tap here as well. But again, EFT has room for error. It's so forgiving. EFT does not care if you start here or here or here. Just start tapping. Just start tapping and acknowledge what's going on and get that out. That's the most important thing. And like I said before, the reason why you don't see me using the setup statement a lot is because I just want you to get tapping. I just want you to have an experience and shift and clear stuff out instead of focusing on what to say, because you'll naturally move to that better feeling place. All right, you guys, I don't see any other questions here. So thank you so much for joining me. We do have some other workshops coming up. I don't think let me see if I can grab them really quick. Well, actually, I won't take your time in the video. I will post them so you know when the next workshop is, and you can mark your calendar and join us for that. And I look forward to seeing you soon. In the meantime, keep tapping.